Alright guys, today is the best of the rest video covering all of the weekend's football that I haven't already talked about. So the first game I'll cover is Tottenham v Wolves, lunchtime game on Saturday, and Wolves were by far the better side first half. That much is easy to say. They were dominant in possession. Spurs barely got any chances other than one looping Harry Kane header. I really can't think of any chances that Spurs got in the first half. But having said that, though, Wolves didn't create many chances of their own. It was mostly half chances for players like Guedes, Nunes, and Podence. They didn't create anything really clear cut that you would say, "I should have scored from that." But yeah, Tottenham first half just weren't in the game at all, really. But second half, God knows what Conte must have done to them at half time. Tottenham came out a different side and started creating some chances, hit the woodwork twice through Kane and Son. One, a brilliant header if it had just been a couple of inches lower of the crossbar from Kane. And yeah, Kane got the goal eventually, managed to wriggle free from Nathan Collins on a corner. And that was flicked on by Ivan Perisic and nodded into a half-empty net. And yeah, Nathan Collins was a bit unfortunate there because it was brilliant movement from Kane to get away from the marker. But yeah, Collins had a brilliant game other than that moment, to be honest. Wolves were good defensively. Sarr made a few good saves. They were good in midfield. They just couldn't create any clear-cut chances and couldn't score. And they made a change which I thought would have been good had they not made another change to go with it. They brought on Jimenez at the same time they brought on Dendoncker. Now, if they'd brought on Jimenez and just left it how it was, that would have been a good move because it was crying out for a bit more of a presence in like as for the striker, because Guedes is a good player, but he's not the most physical. He's not the most imposing to the Tottenham defenders. Which, I mean, Tottenham were obviously weakened in defence, having to play Davinson Sanchez instead of Christian Romero. And yeah, from then on, because they brought on Dendonker's a good player, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't suit the fast style football that Wolves were playing in the first half. And if you're also going to bring on Jimenez, surely you don't leave Adama Traore until like the last 10 minutes of the game to bring on, because those two work really well together. But they left that until the final 10 minutes of the game and yeah, ran out of time. So yeah, some of the substitutions I thought on Bruno Lage's part were a bit questionable, but considering what I've heard about Wolves, because I don't think I watched them either of their first two games of the season. From what I saw on Saturday, it's a lot better than I've been hearing about them. I don't know if it's just all clicked all of a sudden, but they played quite well. I thought Wolves, they deserved something out of the game. But for Tottenham, winning without playing well is the sign of a team who will go on to win things, because it's very rare you get teams who are great teams but also play really well every single week. So if Tottenham are getting results out of games where they're not playing particularly well, that's a very good sign. It's better than playing very well but not getting results. Yeah, it just looked like a few of their players were a bit leggy on Saturday. Kulusevski struggled to get involved after a really impressive performance in the first game of the season. And to be honest, they weren't great against Chelsea, but still managed to pull a draw out of that at Stamford Bridge, which is still like a very good result. So yeah, this is a good sign from Spurs. It's a sign of improvement. And Perisic, I like Sessegnon as a player, but Perisic is a massive upgrade on Sessegnon. This is a player who has, done it on the big stage at the World Cup with Croatia at the Euros as well, and has also played in massive games for teams like Bayern Munich and Inter Milan. So yeah, it's looking positive for Spurs, but it's also an improvement for Wolves on their previous two games, from what I've heard again. Yeah. And then in the Saturday afternoon game, I chose to watch Fulham v Brentford because they are two teams that I've been impressed by so far this season. I thought Fulham against Liverpool on the opening day were really good, and Brentford, I've watched both of their games before this game, and again, they look very good despite a slow start at Leicester. But yeah, Fulham were the side who took the game to Brentford like early on, first minute. They got the opening goal through Bobby Decker over Reed. It was a bit of a scrappy goal. They managed to work it down the left-hand side, and yeah, Stansfield got a shot off, came off the bar, and Decordova had virtually a tap in. But yeah, one thing I will say is, despite how a lot of the focus will be about how Fulham were a very physical side in this game, I do want to highlight one player. I've never seen him play before, Jay Stansfield. But he had a superb game. I don't know if this was his Premier League debut, but he played really well and looks like a player that Fulham could utilise very well this season. They also got the second through, again, a corner. João Paulinho, bullet of a header to go past David Raya. Just that much power on it. It didn't even have to go in the corner of the goal. It just had to go about head height past him, and he was really struggling. But yeah, from then on, the pressure from Fulham died off a little bit. They took their foot off the gas, I think, mostly down to the fact that it's a 2-goal lead. They're just thinking, right, just protect what we have. But Brentford, they started to get back into it. They made a good substitution, in my opinion, bringing Keane Lewis Potter on. And yeah, they managed to get themselves back in the game through a goal from Christian Norgard, which was a well-worked corner, despite a bit of lazy defending from Fulham not to pick him up. It was a well-taken volley. And Ivan Toney also had a goal disallowed, which wasn't the best look for him, considering he tried to do a bit of a shithouse celebration, if you like, doing the Mitrovic thing at Fulham, and then having the goal disallowed, and then scoring again, which was a well-worked goal, by the way, as well. And Burmo and Jon Visser combined nicely down the right-hand side, and Tony put the ball in the back of the net from the square ball. And yes, it would have been good if Brentford had won the game, that celebration from Tony, but Mitrovic got the final say in scoring the winner. And it was an absolute bullet of a header. Kevin Mbabu came off the bench to put the cross in, and Mitrovic did really well to direct it into the corner. Brilliant header. And yeah, Fulham, in terms of the chances they managed to create, you can't say they didn't deserve it. Mitrovic also had another header saved by David Raya. David Raya, to be fair, didn't have too bad a game. He saved what he could. And yeah, Brentford, they'll feel disappointed. They dominated for the majority of the second half and the end of the first half as well. But I just didn't feel it clicked. Like they went for a change of system compared to the Man United game the week prior, and it just didn't seem to click until a substitution was made. I thought Josh De Silva, with the way that he had three players in front of him with Tony, Visser and Burmo, it almost felt like he didn't have the room to work with, like he already had that many players ahead of him. So that, for me, that didn't seem to work as well. But yeah, all credit goes to Fulham, because no one saw this coming, them picking up 5 points. Is it 5 points? I think it's 5 points from their first three games, especially with Liverpool being one of those. And yeah, they look like they should, if they can keep this form up, go on to survive relegation. I can name a few teams who are looking a bit worse than them, but Brentford, I think it's just one of them where you learn from it and you move on, because they've had a good start to the season themselves, especially with that win against Man United. But yeah, there's positive. Once again, there's positives to take away from both sides. And then finally, Leeds absolutely smashed Chelsea 3-0. And it's the day of dreams for Leeds. And for Chelsea, I think, I don't know why, but out of all the top six teams in the Premier League, other than Man United, this does apply to Man United as well. Chelsea seem to take a battering out of nowhere, like once a season. It maybe didn't happen last year or the year before, but certainly under Maurizio Sarri and Antonio Conte, and no, maybe not Mourinho, but I can think of it happening a few times against teams like Watford and Bournemouth. They just West Brom as well. They just seem to have a game where everything goes wrong, and I think yesterday was one of them. Because Chelsea started off the better side against Leeds, I think. Raheem Sterling was causing Leeds a few problems, had a shot go wide and also put one in the net, both similar chances. And it was disliked because he was just slightly offside. But it just doesn't feel like Sterling's being played to his strengths at the moment at Chelsea in the few games I've seen him play. It's almost like he's playing a bit too narrow. He's really suited to picking up the ball on like the corner of the box, if that makes sense, and then cutting inside and then getting a shot off, like he did on a couple of occasions yesterday. But I haven't seen that in either of the first two games against Tottenham and Everton. But yeah, Leeds, they were just absolutely running like mad, covering so much distance, especially the first half. And yeah, they got the first goal through that. I don't think when Thiago Silva passed the ball back to Edouard Mendy expected in a million years to happen what did happen. Mendy took a poor first touch, but he's got so much time to just hoof it long if he's uncomfortable. It's quite a long back pass back, but he reaches him fine. But because it's that far away from him, he hasn't really got any options. So Aronson presses him down, closes him down very quickly. But he's got so much time to just boot it away. But he dilly-dallies on it. Aronson tackles him, and Aronson scores a goal that had 0.99 xg. So impossible to miss, basically. And yeah, Leeds followed that up with another, this time a free kick from the edge of the box, taken by Jack Harrison, who is playing absolutely out of his skin so far this season. And a brilliant header by Rodrigo, who just seems to be on a ridiculous goal-scoring run at the moment, which we've never seen from him in his first couple of years in the Premier League. And yeah, it was a really well-taken header. And yeah, Leeds, like the fans were absolutely loving it. You could just tell by watching it on TV that it was one of them where it must have been incredible, the amount of noise that was generated by the Leeds supporters. And yeah, second half, Chelsea, you thought they'd come out like all guns blazing, right, let's go for it, let's get back into the game. But it just never really seemed to happen. They had a few half chances, I guess, but nothing really clear cut. They did really struggle to create opportunities throughout the game. Mason Mount came close once, but that's really all I can remember from the game. And Leeds managed to get a third, crossed by Dan James. Rodrigo mishit it, but it fell to Harrison, who managed to react quickly and volley it into the net from close range. And yeah, Harrison deserves that because he's been superb so far this season for Leeds. And yeah, a brilliant performance from Leeds. Koulibaly got sent off at the end of the game for fouling Joe Gelhardt, who again came off the bench and just didn't stop running from the moment he came on. And Koulibaly fouled him, got a second yellow card. It was a very early booking he got, and I was watching the game with my brother, and yeah, he just said there's no way Koulibaly finishes this game on the pitch. And how right he was. It is only a one-game ban for Koulibaly, I think, yeah, because he got booked, didn't he, first? So yeah, hopefully that for Chelsea that shouldn't make too much of a difference. But yeah, Chelsea, they do seem to have these games every now and again. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.